Welcome to another Ask Me session where I answer your questions about strategy, operations, data, and evaluation for nonprofits, foundations, public agencies, and other organizations providing education, human, and social services. I'm Tamara, your sidekick, here to help you make a bigger impact with less sacrifice. Our question today is, there's a lot going on right now. Collecting data and doing evaluation seems like it could be put off until we're in less of survival mode. What do we really need to be doing with data now? The need for data and evaluation has not declined at all. Unfortunately, it stays just as important as all the other things that are on your plate. You need to be telling the story of how your organization is living out its values. People in your communities right now are watching organizations and how they're reacting to live out the missions and the values that they've stated from before the pandemic and before our civil rights movement. They want to see exactly what actions you're taking to show that the words that you've shared are the real things that stand behind your organization. When it comes to the civil rights movement, they want to see that you are taking anti-racist action. When it comes to the elections, they want to see that you are encouraging people to participate in our election in the ways that align with your mission. And they're watching and judging. So now is not the time to stay silent. And data are one of the key ways to tell that story. Tracking what you're doing, how well you're doing it, and what's happening because you did those things. So the results or the outcomes are important for you to be tracking and reporting to your communities so that they can see that you're not just a lot of words, you're also action behind those words. You also need to be telling the story of your adaptation in this time. A lot of organizations are closing their doors, and this is your time to figure out exactly what you should be doing next. And if you haven't closed your doors, then you recognize that now is a time when actually our missions are extra critical. Even though it's hard on our staff, the times that are the toughest are actually the times that people need us the most. A lot of our missions are things that about basic needs, about human rights, about emotional and social well-being. And those are things right now that are heavily challenged even more than normal. So it's time for you to show as an organization what you can step up to and how you're adapting. It doesn't mean that you have to be doing all the same level of things that you were doing before, but people want to see how you're weathering this storm and also how you're stepping up to the challenge. The data that you can tell, that you can use to tell this story, are the same as the kinds of data that you would collect for your values. Collect information on what you're doing, what's working and what's not working, and how you're changing. So tell the story of key milestones. Developmental evaluation is a really great approach to be using in this time, but basically any sort of data collection that you can do that will say, these are key decisions we made, these are why we made the decisions, this is what happened after the decision. Also, these are the services we're providing. This is how many people we've been able to reach. This is how we're able to serve them. Becomes even more important because now it's harder to reach people. So showing how you're taking efforts and how you're changing your service delivery, your outreach, et cetera, can show exactly how much you're committed to your mission and how much you're able to support people despite all the challenges. Other data that I think we don't often collect but can be actually quite distinguishing, can make you stand out from people, is collecting information about your organization itself. So how you stepped up to support your staff members, knowing that this is a time that's extra challenging. What are you doing in order to make sure that your organization has the systems and structure in place to be the organization that has values of transparency, values of integrity, values of equity? How are those coming out in your internal organizational changes? So document your adaptations, tell the story of how you're changing and how you're getting better. And that is part of gaining people's support now, because people are not going to forget the organizations that failed or succeeded during this time. They might forget the organizations that were silent. So keep doing what you're doing and try to integrate your data into all of your storytelling. Some of the easiest ways that for data collection that you probably don't want to be getting rid of are the ones that are simultaneous with programmatic services. So you might be able to skip some of the extra survey data collection or the more formal assessments, but don't ignore the opportunity you have when you're already talking to people. Now, a lot of services are going virtual, and there are a lot of relationship-based type services. They're one-to-one conversations, they're one-to-small group. And so take those opportunities when you're already in that Zoom room or you're already in the room with the person to just ask a couple of questions about their experience with the program and get some of their story so that you can use that for the evaluation. You also can use polls and quick little online surveys that you can integrate into your virtual events and services. So that way you're not having all these extra data collection efforts, you're actually building it into processes you're already doing. And as you're learning how to use Zoom to facilitate your service, you're building in how to use a quick little data collection point. So don't give up. Just do the things that are most realistic. So keep trying to collect data to tell your story, but just focus on the methods that are going to be the least burdensome to you so you can generate information about your story without making it even harder on your staff. So good luck. I'm here every Monday to answer your questions. So please submit your questions using the form in the description for this video. If you liked this video, hit like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notified when new videos like this are posted. Share with a friend, and I will see you next week. Thank you for all that you do.